Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video. Myself and Martin, where as always I'm here with the latest from the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. So what do I have for you today, my friends? Well, we're going to kick things off with a little something from Qualcomm. And just as an aside before I get into the actual topic, I always feel like I'm saying their name wrong, like it just sounds vaguely lewd for some reason. Anyway, so what do I actually have for you on this one? Well, during the last day of the Snapdragon Tech Summit, Qualcomm did announce the Snapdragon 8xc, and they actually had a fair bit of information for us on what is actually going on here. Now, interestingly enough, the 8xc is the largest processor they have made to date. It has 8 custom processing cores that make up a Cairo 495 CPU. We have 4 high-performance Cortex A76 cores and 4 low-power Cortex A55 cores that are clocked higher than the Snapdragon 850, and we also have 10 megabytes of combined cache with support for 16 gigs of RAM, NVMe and UFS 3.0 storage. Unfortunately, we don't know actually any real performance data, any raw numbers when it comes to how well it's doing, especially on peak performance. But they did talk about how the performance was when sustaining just 7 watts of power, and Qualcomm did actually claim that in that particular scenario the 8xc is 4 times as fast as Intel's low power Y series processors and twice as fast as the Intel U series processors, and this is non-peak performance at 7 watts of power. So a couple of caveats to those statements there, but that is what they did have to say for themselves. Now, interestingly, as you may have already cottoned on, this is actually coming to PCs. Well, I say PCs, I mean something more like laptops and that sort of thing. We're not talking like, your desktop PC, you're talking like, again, your laptop, notebook, phablets, that sort of thing. But we do have more information for you. As obviously it is an SoC, it does have an Adreno 680 GPU, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, an X24 modem, as well as a Hexagon 690 DSP. And speaking of that Adreno 680 GPU, it is apparently 3.5, yes I can speak, words are apparently difficult, times faster than the Snapdragon 835 and twice as fast as the one in their newest mobile Snapdragon 855, and this is thanks to having should I say, twice the memory bandwidth and twice the transistors, and does bring support for up to 2 4K displays at 60 Hz. So, it's going to be rather interesting to see how this one does. Qualcomm have not been shy in the fact that they wish to challenge Intel, and they have tried a Snapdragon-based laptop before. It didn't do so well, to be honest, but it's going to be interesting to see how the 8xc performs in real-life machines and, of course, real-life scenarios. But moving on from the confirmed to the rumour, we have something regarding Navi 10. So we've been talking an awful lot about Navi lately, as there has been various rumours, leaks, and all sorts flying around the internet, but this is actually something completely different. We have this rumour coming to us thanks to Overclocked3D, who spotted it on the Chiphell forums. So, take everything that I'm about to say with copious helpings of salt. So, according to this source, we're going to be seeing quote-unquote surprising power efficiency but high-end performance from the Navi 10 GPU. Fortunately, they didn't actually provide any real numbers, just saying that it will be very frugal on the power it is going to require. Now, apparently, this particular GPU is going to be competing with the RTX 2080. Now, does that mean it's actually going to offer comparable performance, or this is going to be AMD's highest end card and therefore competing against the 2080 by default? It's hard to say for sure. I would put money on the second one, but obviously we just don't know because, well, we don't know the specs of the thing. Now, the last thing that this particular source had to say was that apparently Navi 10 is not going to have any ray tracing specific hardware. And this, to be honest, is probably going to be accurate, just simply because, well, Navi, the baseline architecture for it, I should probably say, is or was largely completed by the end of 2017. Either way, I would very much believe that we're not going to be seeing ray tracing for Navi. We might see it for the one after, but obviously we could also see it in there as well. It's entirely possible, that AMD will just come out and know, like, haha, we've got ray tracing as well. Obviously, we just don't know. Now, this rumour does run contrary to some previous leaks, which basically said that we're going to be seeing Navi 10 take on the 2070 rather than the 2080. Now, that would be more what I would expect, to be honest, in terms of performance, but obviously we just don't know, because, again, we do not know any real specs and all that sort of stuff. So, it's a rumour, guys. Take it as it comes. There's not really much else you can do because, yeah, we've got all sorts of things being said and not said, and people challenging the things being said, and all sorts of things flying around the internet at the moment. So, do just keep that in mind. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Which one are you inclined to believe, I suppose, is the real question to ask here. Oh, and one last thing that I almost forgot to mention, we're apparently going to be seeing this release in the second or third quarter of 2019. So for our last topic today, we're actually going to discuss the Game Awards, as we had quite a lot revealed. I'm not going to discuss the awards themselves, but I am going to talk about the premieres that we had, as we had quite a few games revealed there that actually have definitely caught my attention, one of which I'm actually going to be covering. So, the thing that surprised me the most, I guess, is a new Far Cry game already. It's a bit of a follow-up to Far Cry 5, kind of similar to Far Cry Blood Dragon, I guess, using the same engine as Blood Dragon did. They need to make another Blood Dragon game. I would pay cash money for another Blood Dragon game. But regardless, we have Far Cry New Dawn, set 17 years later, in a sort of post-apocalyptic sort of vibe going on. That actually looks really cool. Something a bit different for the Far Cry series, and kind of gets rid of the whole question of, like, where are the police? Where are the SWAT teams? Where are the helicopters swooping down with this maniac killing a whole town like it did in Far Cry 5 and all this other stuff? So, yeah, definitely going full silly, but I think that is definitely something that Far Cry could use, so I think this could be a good one. Now, the most interesting one for me, at least, was Hades, and it's just simply because it's a new game developed by Supergiant Games. That's all you have to say to me, and I'm like, go on, I'm interested. And it's a bit of a weird sort of diversion for them, but they've kind of done that with the last game, because obviously there was Bastion, Transistor, and they were different to each other, but still kind of the same sort of, well, not same, similar-ish RPGs, and then we had Pyre, which was very, very good, but very different, not only to their previous games, but to anything, really, and now this is a roguelike dungeon crawler with some Greek mythology thrown in, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, would it be a Supergiant game if it didn't just make me drool just looking at the art? I mean, no is the answer. Now, we also had a release date for Anthem, which unfortunately I don't care. It's not my thing at all, but if you are interested, it's coming out on February the 22nd. And we also had something from Obsidian, who have a new game for us called The Outer Worlds. It is a first-person sci-fi RPG. It's going to be coming out next year. This looks really, really good. And definitely looks like it's taking on Fallout a little bit with the trailer, at least. And we also had a new trailer for Psychonauts 2, and that looks really good, but then again, it's Psychonauts 2, so, We also had a new trailer for Ashen, which we saw way back in the day, back in 2014. It's actually out now on the Epic Games Store, so if you want to go check that out, that's pretty cool. And Journey's coming to PC, which makes me so happy, because it was previously on the PlayStation only. And we have a new Dragon Age game as well, Dragon Age 4. We had an early teaser trailer, but we're not going to be seeing hide nor hair of it for quite some time. And the last thing that I think is worthy of discussion here is Mortal Kombat 11. Now, as much as I've kind of fallen out of the loop when it comes to fighting games, I used to love them when I was like a teenager, when I was like really just starting to get into gaming. Because I've gamed since I was a kid. Like, I played like the Master System, Alex the Kid, and then obviously the Mega Drive or the Genesis, whichever you prefer, was my first real console, I guess. I don't really remember the Master System too well, but the Mega Drive I spent so much time with, and I played the hell out of Mortal Kombat and Tekken and all that back in the day. So a new Mortal Kombat game is always going to interest me just for pure nostalgic purposes, and Mortal Kombat, the last couple have been actually pretty good, so I'm definitely curious to see. So yeah, those are the biggest announcements for the PC at least, and there's some really cool stuff there. I think the most interesting for me is definitely Hades. Far Cry New Dawn, as I said, looks really cool as well, but the Outer Worlds, I got there in the end, and Psychonauts 2 as well. I mean, Psychonauts 2, I'm just happy that it exists, and it actually looks pretty decent, but we don't actually have any release date for it. We just know it's coming out at some point next year. Hopefully it's good, because Double Fine unfortunately kind of disappointed with that last one. So there you have it, some of the PC announcements from the Game Awards for you. So much more stuff was said and revealed and awarded out and given out at that night, so go check out the full stream of it. It's definitely worth a watch. Anyway, there's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.